welcome to the next interview of the Masters of Manifestation Online Summit 2020. Today we're with Will HATTON. Will, thank you very much for being here. I'm glad that we can have that discussion on manifestation together. And you're such an inspiring example of what it is possible to do once we decide to go for the desires that we have in our minds. I first discovered you with the blog that you have, the Broke Backpacker. That's how I've heard about you. And it's when I started backpacking myself. So I follow a lot of your stories and feedbacks about the places to go, etc. When I was backpacking. And from there, I follow your journey up to the point where you're building an hostel right now in Bali that will open in a few months. So I will give you 5 minutes so that you can introduce you with your own words to the audience. They can get to know your journey, where you're from, what you did, and what led you to the point where you decided to travel the world.
Cool. Okay. Hi. Thank you very much. So my name is Will HATTON, and I started traveling the world when I was about 18. My plan was to join the army, and then I had a life-changing injury, which left me in a wheelchair for a bit and then crutches for a bit and just like totally mentally broken. It wasn't a great time. So I hitchhiked out to India, and I spent a couple of years living like a dirtbag in India. It was a lot of fun. I was working on farms. I was like picking up odd jobs on the beaches of Goa, selling hats and other things. Yeah, it was a good 2 years. I was hitchhiking, sleeping in a tent most nights, couch surfing. It was a real, very strong character building experience for me. Whilst I was out there, I didn't have a phone or a laptop, but I would occasionally go into internet cafes to try and get information on like some of these lesser visited places in India. And I quickly noticed that there wasn't really any travel blog for people like me, people traveling like with no money, who were happy to be uncomfortable, who wanted to go to more off the beaten track destinations, whether it was in India or later when I went to Pakistan, Iran, Venezuela, Myanmar, places like that. So I started writing, and quite a few years later, I had this little blog called The Broke Backpacker. And I decided I was going to travel from the UK to Papua New Guinea without flying, because it was kind of in a straight line. And I could see that like, as long as I could do some sort of boating situation around Indonesia, I could get there without having to fly. So that was the plan. I hitchhiked across Europe, hitchhiked into Iran, where I met my wife. They were madly in love. Shenanigans ensued. I went to Pakistan, fell in love with Pakistan. At this point, I was like totally out of money and trying to support myself and my wife, who was Iranian. So her passport meant we had a lot of problems with expensive visas, meaning the dirtbag travel lifestyle was now like more difficult. So we sat down and decided we had to scale the business. And I spent 2 years working, 80, 90 hours a week on building these systems where I could scale content, hire great people. I built a lot of pretty unique relationships with travel operators and was able to negotiate pretty special commission structures. And off the back of that, the Broke Backpacker grew into this massive machine, like 1 million visitors a month. We launched a travel company doing like epic adventures in Pakistan, Iran, Kyrgyzstan, just really cool places, doing these like treks and camps and community interaction experiences. It was awesome. We built a guest house in Pakistan. We launched a few other companies, some of which failed. You win some, you lose some, and you learn the whole way. And now I am based in Bali, which I love, where I am building my first tribal hostel. It is a digital nomad co-working hostel. So for people like me who want to travel, who want to experience the hostel lifestyle, but who might need to duck into like a little booth for a minute to take a conference call, or definitely need super fast internet and need to be able to get a good, quiet night's sleep. So people like me, that's who we're aiming for. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Okay. So you say that you started to travel because you couldn't get into the army.
Yeah, so I had this big injury, which really led me to have like a pretty major breakdown, to be honest. I very much had to reinvent myself and replan what I was going to do with my life, because the whole vision that I'd had was just completely unattainable. And the main reason that I wanted to join the army was because I thought it would be a character building experience. I just really didn't know who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And I thought that was a strong way to get fit, make some friends, see exotic places, and become a more capable human, right? So I took the original parts of my vision, becoming a more capable human, and I decided doing real rough style travel in far-flung lands and learning to interact with people from all different kinds of cultures, because I was very, very shy, would be good for me. And it was.
So you had that desire of traveling, and you had that desire of being surrounded with people. That was your two main
Yeah.
motivation to get into the army, and you had to find another way to have that.
I think like the main thing for me with travel is that it just represents an incredible opportunity for character development and personal growth, because you're constantly put in uncomfortable positions, and all you can really control is how you react to what's happening. So I just recognized that would be very powerful for me, and it was. And when you travel cheaply, it's really raw. You know, there's no like hotel separating you from the local people. You're couch surfing with them, you're eating food with them, you're hanging out with them. It's just, yeah, it's a real raw experience. It's very powerful.
Okay. Did you have a lot of travel experience before to start backpacking? No. Okay. So I'm interested in knowing, so your war plan with the army were fucked down and you had to find something else. And before to start backpacking with no money or almost no money, what were your fears, your limiting belief, your self-sabotaging stories that could have made you decide to not go for it?
Well, I had to kind of make friends with my body again, because as a young testosterone-filled man, when I received this injury, which was to my leg, I felt like I'd been betrayed by my body. I was like, oh, you're not going to be able to hike, you're not going to be able to do these things that you want to do. So I kind of had to overcome that. Like I said as well, I was very, very shy. So I invented a game, and the game was simple. I would talk to one person more than I had talked to the day before. I got up to 88 people before I was like, okay, this is enough. The game ends now. You're now able to approach people and talk to them. Yeah, I think I didn't feel comfortable in my skin, so it was important for me to learn to talk to people and to have these experiences that push me out of my comfort zone. Because the more that I did that, the more confident and capable I felt.
Did you also have fears about money that you could? No.
Not really, to be honest. Not really, man, because I had my tent, you know, and couch surfing was this is the golden age of couch surfing. Couch surfing was a great thing. I could pick up work on farms. You know, it's always ways to make money, man. For a while, I was going around India and buying these like colorful hippie shirts and leather satchels and shit, and then bringing it back and selling it at festivals for like 1,000%. So there's always ways to make money. And as long as you don't mind being uncomfortable, and you don't mind camping, you don't mind eating noodles like every day, because the experience you're having is worth more to you than the discomfort that you're experiencing. As long as you don't mind that, money isn't really a barrier, in my experience.
Okay. So from there, then you've been to India, and in India, if I understand, you had that idea about writing content.
Well, so yeah, I started the blog, and it was kind of just like a casual thing in the background for a while. And then later, when I did my big UK's Papua New Guinea trip, which was supposed to take like 2 years, and like we're 4.5 years into it, it's over. On that trip, when I met my wife, Nina, things really changed then, because suddenly I was responsible for somebody else, and I was madly in love with this girl and really wanted to make sure that it had the best possible opportunity to work, but we couldn't even like afford her flight to come visit me in India on like the fourth time that I went to India after in Pakistan. So it just became very apparent that scaling the blog was like what needed to happen, and it was something I'd kind of been wanting to do. But at this point, I've been making like $1,000 a month on the blog without really having to do anything. $1,000 to a broke backpacker is a lot of fucking money. It's like all the beer you can drink. But it was not enough for two people to travel, especially when one of them has an Iranian passport and visas are like 3 times the price for her. So scaling the blog was what needed to happen. I had this amazing person who was providing me with the drive and the support and the help to put in the mad amount of hours needed to go into making it a success.
Okay. What was the vision that was driving you at that time? You wanted to scale, but you wanted to scale at that point. What was your vision with the business?
I think there was a few different visions going on. The first was to make more money so that travel was possible, and to have a better standard of living after living in a tent for like many years. But there was nothing like this out there for me. I'm not saying there was no good travel content on the internet, but there was very little content that I could find for people who didn't have $50 or more to spend a day, and for people who didn't just want to party in Thailand or go and do like the sites in Peru, people who wanted to like get off the beaten path and actually do something that is rawer and maybe pushes you out of your comfort zone. There just was no information like that. So I assembled an awesome team of people I had largely met whilst traveling. And we all just got to work writing, designing like epic content that really could help people kind of get behind the normal highlights of the country and really discover that less visited side. Obviously, you know, we cover like everything. So we cover like Paris as well as covering like more far out there destinations. But yeah, there wasn't anything like this out there at the time. I could see that it was a big opportunity. The travel, you know, the travel industry is massive, and there's lots of people who are traveling without much money. So and there's lots of people who want to travel to these far out there countries. It was just kind of, I don't know, it was a way of me powering the lifestyle that I wanted. I wanted to keep traveling. I wanted to keep writing about it. It was an exciting time.
Mm-hmm. And how did it make money out of it? Because somehow making money from a blog can be a myth. What was the business model for you to make money out of the blog?
It's a great question. So many blogs are monetized mostly through sponsored posts. We don't do that because it's never going to become passive and it can affect your own SEO score. The best way to monetize a blog is undoubtedly through affiliate marketing. This is where you sell somebody else's product by directing customers to their webpage, and then they purchase something. You've got a tracking cookie. You get a percentage of a sale for sending the traffic that way. And this is definitely the lowest risk, highest reward way to make money in the travel industry, in my opinion. And then you've got other things such as our tour company. This is where I've been traveling to Pakistan for like 4 years. We knew all the players. Pakistan is a beautiful, amazing country, but logistically challenging to get around. So we put together a trip that's 15 days, which if you try and do it independently, like minimum 3.5 weeks, just because you wouldn't have your own transport and it just wouldn't all be lined up perfectly. Like I've spent hundreds of hours on buses in Pakistan and missed many a flight in Pakistan. So yeah, we put together this physical offering on something that we were an expert on in an area where there wasn't much competition. The tours are a great one. Yeah, it's mostly that. We did try some other things. We had a go at drop shipping like our own travel products, but we picked poorly. We chose like hammocks and towels and stuff like that. And the bar to entry is so low that you have to sell like tens of thousands of units to make anything, because it's very, very saturated at this point. We are currently and have been for about 18 months working on a backpack made out of recycled ocean plastic. We're pretty excited about that. That will hopefully launch next year. We're on like, I don't know, version 8 of the pack. It's a lot of work. And that's hopefully going to be our physical travel product, which has enough of a real unique identifier and enough of a story. And crucially, you know, you're not selling it for $30 because it's not a towel, that we can make good money on that. So I'm excited about that as well. Okay.
And what is the financial successful point on your own term that you reach with this blog and scaling it? Like at what point did you feel like you were satisfied with what you were earning?
I think everybody has a different number in their head, and I did notice that as I kept hitting my target number and my next target number and my next target number, the thrill was like a little bit less each time, to be honest. I think for me, man, as long as I'm putting 10 grand in my pocket every month, I'm happy. And once that was happening, my life definitely changed. And I'm not I'm not able to share numbers, but we built it to a point that was like significantly bigger than I thought was possible. So there is a lot of money there to be taken off the table for sure.
Okay. And what did you attract on your way to make it happen? Because this is the thing, when we decide to go for our desire, and at that time you had the desire to make money, to sustain yourself, to sustain your family with your wife. When you're driven by a desire and you go for it, you attract all those things like magnetism with your desire. So what did you attract? What were the big synchronicities that happened to you that allow you to grow exponentially? It can be meetings, it can be people, it can be events, it can be new ideas. What are the unbelievable things that you attracted?
So I think one of our most important big click moments was that we got very good at negotiating and renegotiating commission structures with our various affiliate partners. And that was because we were very, very data driven. We could take huge chunks of data, break it down for our partners in a way where they couldn't understand this raw data otherwise, and be like, look, if you give us X instead of Y, we can deliver A instead of B. And breaking that down and presenting it in a way which really highlighted the value of what we were trying to do made it much easier for us to scale.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So you say that you're vision driven, you know where you will be in 5 years. It has always been like that, or is it something that, okay, so what was your 5 years plan when you first started the Broad Backpacker?
Oh man, that's a great question. That's a great question. So like my final destination has always been open a hostel and then build an epic like Hobbit style Earthship and live in that. That's been my final destination. But everything in between that changes all the time. But I'm like a very goal orientated person. Like I've got goals for 3 months, goals for 6 months, goals for a year, goals for 3 years, goals for 5 years. They change all the time. So, it changes based on what I'm interested in, based on what I think is realistic, based on how like something that I thought was important a year ago, I might now be like, well, you know what? No, I don't want to run a marathon right now. It's just not what I want to do right now. So, goals change for sure.
Okay. So you always had that desire to build an hostel. So
yeah, man, always wanted to build the hostel.
Okay. So how did that happen? Like, how did you move from mind to matter? Because having ideas is, I would say, easy, but deciding to go for it is another topic, and making it real is again another one. You have the step to move from the mind to doing it, and to doing it to really making it happen. So
absolutely,
how did that happen for you, that process?
Yeah, so that was a serendipitous connection with somebody where I was approached and asked if I wanted to do some villas in Bali. And I was like, no, let's do a hostel. And I showed them the data for the hostel. I showed them that I can redirect all of this traffic to our own property. And a beautiful partnership was born with my good friend, Mark. So Mark is the co-founder, and we just, together we fill the role really, really well. I can do all the branding and the online marketing and all that side of stuff. Mark, God bless him, he's down on site building this thing every day, and is building all of our like systems for our staff and our training and our food and bev and that kind of stuff. So that was very much like I wanted to do a hostel, didn't know how I was going to do it, and then Mark came along and boom, it just kind of slotted into place.
Okay, when was that?
That was like 3 years ago, man. It's taken like we've been working on this hostel for 2 years. It's like a big project. We've had many setbacks, but it's coming.
Okay. Yeah, you have to. You need to be allowed to do it, and you need to draw the plan and to find locations and to be sure that market-wise it's going to work, etc. So
I mean, we banked like 6 weeks to figure out what it was going to look like, and it took like 8 months to do all the architecture plans and to get it right. But it's been a great journey, and I'm really excited to get it open.
Okay, there's a great insight here, because you've always been driven by that picture, that big picture, the vision of building an hostel. And it didn't happen overnight. And even when it started to be concrete, it didn't happen overnight again. It takes time. And
It does, yeah.
so did you have, even if it was your big desire, I have that belief that, and I see it in my clients and people I talk with, that the bigger the desire, the bigger the fears somehow, or the bigger the fear of, oh my God, I cannot fail because this is my big thing. This is the thing that I'm
Sure.
working for. So did you experience that as well? A kind
Okay,
of
so
fear that is stronger than other projects.
not so much on the hostel, but like a really good example of that was when I was working the like 80, 90 hours a week. For the first year of that, nothing was really happening. And I was like, am I wasting my time? Is
Mm,
nothing going to happen? Like the small amount of money I was making was going straight back into it. I'd borrowed money. I'd maxed out all 5 credit cards that I was able to get when I applied for them, which was always amazing to me. And you know, that was extremely stressful. That was an extremely stressful time for me for sure. And I was, man, I was, yeah, of course. I was like, shit, like I've nearly broken myself doing this. Like, what if it
mm,
doesn't work? So yeah, I definitely had big doubts.
okay. And what helped you to overcome those doubts?
Actually, the one big thing that really helped me go over that was just practicing gratitude. So being like, oh, I've had a sale today. That's one more sale than yesterday, you know, like and just trying to find pleasure in the things that were going right and trying to enjoy the small amounts of free time that I did have by, you know, getting outside, hiking, walking along the beach, that kind of stuff. Just being like outside in nature, not being on my phone too much. But yeah, I would say that gratitude and like journaling practice was like super helpful for me, because then it meant when things felt like shit, I could look back to 3 months ago and I'd be like, yeah, but dude, it's better than 3 months ago. So just keep
Mm-hmm,
going, you know?
mm-hmm. Okay. I love those rituals. It's what I call the art of manifestation. It's when we train our mind to, because our mind is a servant of our desires, and we can
Yeah,
either focus on the problem or focus on the solution. Uh, that's uh, that's between our hands. We can do whatever we want, and so many people focus on the problem rather than the solution. And you're a solution-oriented person. So, what are all the rituals alongside gratitude that help you keep being driven in your mind and to nourish the idea in your mind? Do you picture yourself in your hostel? Do you visualize the outcome? Do you write down your goal? Do you use that kind of
yeah,
repetition and emotion involved into the process? Like, can you describe your
yeah,
methodology of being there?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I'm very goal orientated, and I'm always writing down like in 5 years' time I will be here. These are traits that I will have worked on. These are skills that I will have worked on. These are things that I will have achieved. So I've got like, you know, Will 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever version we're on right now is he's laid out very clearly. So I know who I've got to work towards being. I find that very helpful. And then I just try to anchor my day with like habit stacks and healthy routines. Like the first thing I do almost every morning is I play a game of chess against myself, and that's like I always win. So that's good fun.
So you
I
started
enjoy doing that.
winning.
You get yeah, exactly. But you know, it's dude, honestly, it's like 50% black, 50% white. So I don't know, it's totally random which side wins. Um yeah. So yeah, I've got a lot of rituals that help me kind of stay grounded and help me stay focused, and I really divide my time into certain ways. And one thing I do every day is I'll read my manifesto. And my manifesto is basically like it's like me explaining the version that I want to be in the future, but also traits that I value, things that are important to me, things that aren't important to me, just so that, you know, I know what kind of friends, business partners, relationships that I want in my life. And I know which kind of ones I don't. And just to reinforce that, just by reading, it takes 2 minutes, just by reading it every day, is very helpful for me.
Okay. How did you start doing that? And what
I read a
motivates you to do that?
I don't, to be honest, I'd kind of been like writing like who I wanted to be in the future, like for a long time, like at
Mhm.
least 10 years. So I've always done this. But it kind of manifested into its final version after I read a blog post on the art of manliness, which is a great blog, by the way, about how to write a manifesto. And I
Mm.
took his basic framework. Like my mission is these are the things that are important to me, and then I added other factors and fields that I felt should be in there, and that was how I built out my manifesto.
Okay, great. I have a manifesto as well. I love
Yeah,
that.
cool, man.
It's
It's great, eh?
it's you later describe these
Yeah.
words. I have a more philosophical question um, about desire and about intuition. What I also call inner calling. I believe that vision that you have is an inner calling about what you should do, and your responsibility is to go for it and to overcome all the fears and the obstacle on the way. Where do you think intuition, vision, and desire come from? So I I don't think there is a 100% sure answer to that or proven answer to that. But what is your view on that? Why do you think some people have this desire, other people have this desire, this vision that really turn on the fire inside? Where do you think that comes from?
I think it's about forcing yourself to be in a position where you are motivated enough to make it happen. It might be the case that your back is up against the wall financially, and you have to make this business work. And like personally, I think that's a good time to make a business work. Like you're all in at that point. Whereas if you've got like a 9 to 5 and you drink with your buddies and you've got your girlfriend and you like to watch your favorite TV show and you're trying to do a business on the side, probably you haven't got enough fire because you don't need it enough. And I think that that need, it might not be financial. It might be that you need to do this because you're passionate about your business making a difference in the world, or whatever it is that drives you. But I think that a lot of people really need to feel the need. There are some very lucky people who are just able to motivate themselves like that, and they're awesome. Bow down. But I think that for our people, really, and for me certainly, it's a case of like you need to make this work, so make it work.
Okay. Even if it's irrational or illogical sometimes.
Yeah.
And what helps you to
um,
overcome this irrationality or logical side of intuition or desire?
I mean, like I'm a pretty logical person. I'm pretty obsessed with data. I'm a big data nerd. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just quite a logical person in general. I think like with intuition, I've learned this year to my detriment that it is important to trust your intuition or you can get fucked over. So yeah, I think I like logic, but I think there's also got to be space for trusting your gut at times.
Mhm. Do you have any advice or key about how to do that, how to have faith and trust the gut instinct?
I think definitely, like from a point of view of having faith, is you need to look at the wins. You need to practice gratitude. You need to record what you're doing so that you can look back later and see that hey, today might have sucked, but it was worse then. At least there's been X, Y, and Z wins over the last week. I think that it's really important that you continue to stay fit. Like when I first started my business, my fitness completely went out the window. And now I do like an hour every day at the beginning of my day. And then even if the day goes to shit, I'm like, hey, well, you know what? I've worked out. So that's in the bag. That's like taking care of myself. So I think just trying to build routines that will allow you to thrive is an important part of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If that's no good, rephrase it and I'll have another go.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I like to reflect on what people say and the words that you use. Um,
Uh,
do you define yourself as an hustler?
Oh, I'm 100% a hustler. Absolutely. I mean, maybe like to be completely honest, maybe like not so much at the moment. But
Mm-hmm.
like younger Will was super hungry. And would go door to door trying to sell shit, was buying stuff in charity shops and trying to flog it on eBay. Like I was buying and selling since I was like 6 years old. So like I've always been hungry. Yeah.
Okay. And so as you said, right now, less, but you're still winning, you're
I
still
think,
successful.
yeah, but my priorities have changed. So my
Mm,
priorities now is to carve out time to work on things that didn't matter to me before, like, you know, making sure I'm getting the amount of reading and the amount of podcasts that I want to get in, making sure that I'm working out, doing my shoulder mobility, planning for a hike, working on passion projects. So I'm still like very aggressive with what I'm doing, but I think that I've more turned that hustle onto like my lifestyle and things that are important to me rather than things that are squarely business orientated.
okay. And do you have like specific tools or strategies to still be successful? And success is very subjective, but with hustling less. Um, the,
Yeah,
there is a
yeah,
gap. What
yeah.
is your strategy for
Find
that?
find an apprentice. Find somebody really, really smart who wants to learn about this industry and is willing to take on a lot of responsibility, usually for not much money at the beginning because they're getting an awesome opportunity with the learning curve. Find three of them. Within a year, one of them will be able to replace you on that business if you find the right person. So like, I'm lucky in that I get approached by a lot of great people, and I'm good at picking people. And that has definitely been the main thing that has allowed me, because like you can't do everything yourself, right? And this is the entrepreneur's dilemma. People try to do everything themselves. They're not able to give away responsibility. If I was still writing all the content on the Broke Backpacker, I wouldn't have time to do anything else. Like there would be nothing else, right? You have to be willing to delegate. You've got to be willing to outsource, and ultimately you need to be able to find somebody who can help fill that managerial position so that your willpower is no longer being sapped by making 300 micro decisions a day. And instead, you're making like 10 big decisions a day.
Hmm. Hmm. So you have apprentice right now?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question about COVID will.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the year, we had a massive global shift with COVID-19, and especially people who are in the travel industry or have a business that is related or based on people moving from point A to B, which people are not allowed to travel freely nowadays. So how did COVID impact your business, and what are the shifts that you had to make pretty fast, not in order to grow, but to survive?
Great question. COVID was brutal. I've got 9 different businesses. All of them are in travel. It was hard. Um, with my tour company, we had to give like 100 people refunds. It was the right thing to do. A lot of companies didn't do that, but it was the right thing to do, and that really hurt us financially. On my online businesses, revenue dropped by 97%, which was pretty substantial. Which meant that because I've got a big team, and because I've got many projects, it meant that straight away I was making a loss of like 30K a month. So I had to pretty quickly figure out what I was going to do, what could be frozen and what shouldn't be frozen. And actually, I erred far more towards the side of aggression and bullishness than like trying to pull chips off a table, because I could see all my competitors were doing that. So I was like, well, you know what? I believe the travel will come back. So we're going to double down. So we spent a ton of money on redoing the site, things that I wanted to do for a long time, because COVID is an opportunity in some ways, right? Like I wanted to redo the site a long time, but I was concerned it would be too much of a disturbance to our users. So we took this opportunity to finally do it and made it 4 times faster. Um, but yeah, COVID was very challenging for me mentally as well. So I had to focus a fair bit of my time and energy onto like making sure that I was like mentally sound. I had quite a few people who were leaning on me quite heavily for support at the time. Plus, I was just seeing my businesses hemorrhaging money. So I was spending quite a lot of time on my mindset and making sure that that was set properly, because I knew that if I started to panic, it was going to be
Mm,
bad. Um, I told all my staff, I told them exactly how it was. And I was like, look, I'm going to fund us out of my savings for 6 months. And at the end of that time, we're going to have a review. And between now and the end of the year, you will all have to go on to like a pay reduced scheme, which I came up with, which was very fair. Everybody was very happy with it. We have people on it for like 3 or 4 months. They're owed a certain amount of money. They get it back at Christmas, and that just helped me with cash flow a little bit. But yeah, I would say that mostly I focused on mindset. We had some pretty major problems with not just our traffic dropping and our revenue dropping, but a lot of our affiliate partners not paying us. I'm still owed like a load of money like 6 months later from companies where we bought them the sales, and then they've basically gone bankrupt and haven't got any money to give us, or are just holding on to it because they're yeah. So that was a challenge, but it has been an opportunity, man. It has been an opportunity. This year has been a pretty, like, for me personally, I've like gotten a lot out of this year. I've had time to read a lot more. I've had time to focus on things I've been wanting to do but haven't been able to do because I was so busy with growing this like just massive chain of businesses, and I was traveling all the time. And obviously that's not an option now. So yeah, COVID was it kind of was a blessing and a curse, you know. I think it's about trying to find a silver lining in everything, really.
Yeah, and once again, being solution oriented versus problem oriented. It's really
you can't flail and panic, man. As soon as you start panicking, it's kind of game over. So you just got to like break it down and be like, how do I solve this problem? You know.
Yeah. And right now you're building the biggest hostel in Bali. And did you?
Wow.
Did you have to make some shift too because of COVID with this project?
Yes, we did. We absolutely did. So we were supposed to open in September, and around April, we decided to slow the speed of the build by about 50%, because otherwise we were going to be opening and there would be nobody here, and we're going to need 29 staff to run that place. And like, you know, I don't want to pay 29 staff wages for 6 months while there's nobody there. So yeah, we slowed things down. But you know, we were kind of all in at that point. Money was down on the table. There was no chance to pull it. So it's full steam ahead, and I'm very excited for that project.
Okay, well, I'm excited to seeing it.
Come visit
in a few weeks.
Me too.
I have 2 more questions for you, Will.
Yeah.
The first one is more future oriented.
Okay.
What is the thing that if you knew you had 100% chance of success, you would do right now? Another desire, another big vision that you haven't pursued yet, or not quite pursued yet, that if you knew you would be successful by pursuing it, you would start doing it like right now, just after the call. What is that one thing that is within you and drives you?
It's a great question. It's a great question. So if I was guaranteed success, I would invent a cryptocurrency, because that's like the Wild West. There's so much money out there. But that isn't really what I would do. Like, if I was guaranteed success at one thing, I would probably want to enter and compete in the Eco Challenge, which is like the granddaddy of adventure racing. Adventure racing is like a multi-day, multi-discipline race where you're kayaking, climbing, caving, sailing, running, sweating, crying, and bleeding in a jungle, and it looks fucking amazing. So I would love to do that. That would be amazing. Yeah, yeah, check it out.
And what is the third one? You say that 3 things.
The third one. My initial answer was to build my Earthship. But to be honest, like, that's going to happen. Like, I know that's going to happen. So I'm in no rush on that. I would love to climb an unclimbed peak in Pakistan. Me and Chris, who is the co-founder of the Epic Backpacker tour company that we run in Pakistan, we're going to go back in September and have a crack at a couple of peaks. And it would be amazing, because if you climb one and it hasn't been climbed before, you get to name it. So that would be cool.
Oh, okay. So it would be the Mount HATTON?
Mount HATTONIA, yeah. Like, I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, man, and I've got this fun little novel that I'm writing on the side, all about a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and there's the Hattonian cult in there. Yeah. So okay. Yeah, Mount HATTONIA.
Okay. Send me the location when it's done.
Yeah, I will, man, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So the last question is on advice. What would be your best advice for people who have desires the way you had, and the way you still have, with what you just told me in this training, but who haven't had the confidence and the courage to go for it, to overcome the irrationality of the intuition yet, or for people who decided to go for it but kind of feel stuck because they are
Mhm.
trapped in the
Mhm.
how to get there?
Yeah. Okay. So firstly, I think if you're struggling to find the will or the drive to step away from whatever you're doing right now to really go for it, I think you should sit down and write down on a piece of paper what you want your life to be like in 5 years' time. And if the two are symbiotic, if stepping away and taking this risk and doing this challenge and building this business is going to get you to where you want to be, well, you've just proven to yourself that it's worth doing. From the point of view of people who feel stuck or people who are just starting on the entrepreneurial journey, I would say work smart rather than working hard. It's more important that you are focused and actually working and not just like browsing the internet or being on your phone or being on Instagram. Like your phone should be in a box when you're working. You should have like one tab open, and you shouldn't be on social media. Like I don't used to tell people this, but like I was really guilty of this in the past. And it makes a major difference in how much you can get out of your day if you are working focused and if you are building systems that allow you to stay on top of your work. Trello is an amazing free tool for planning out ideas, planning out workloads, delegating tasks. Check it out. It's really, really good. So yeah, work smart.
Okay, thank you for that. I just want to highlight
No
something that
worries.
you say about writing down. And for the people who bought the premium package of this online summit, they will have the opportunity to get clear on what they want and to write down what they want. And we
Yeah.
both know together, we have experienced that it's part of our success because we reflect on it every day and it sticks into our mind and then it turns on the fire to go for it. So thank
Yeah,
you
it's super
for
powerful, man.
sharing that. Yeah. Thank you very much, Will, for your time. I appreciate.
No worries.
What is your best link or social media for people to follow you?
TheBrokeBackpacker.com. I've got Instagram, but I'm only on there like one day a week. Yeah, check it out.
Thanks,
Cool.
man.
All right, cool,
Thank you
man.
very much
No
for your
worries, dude.
time. I wish
You're
you have a
welcome.
good day.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Yeah, you too,
Bye.
buddy. Great job. Cheers, man. Bye.
Thanks.